Darren Aronofsky and Ari Handel. One Strange Rock really does seem to uh, be a departure from other planet-based shows that have been on the air recently. First of all, what was the genesis, to use one of the titles of the episodes, what was the genesis of this project?
It came to us originally through Peter Rice, National Geographic, and a company, Newtopia, a production company out of England that does high-level feature science and other doc stuff. Were doing this show on the planet, and they were looking for some people out of the narrative film world to help shape it visually and storytelling-wise. And they came to us because Peter and Darren have worked very closely together over the years, and they knew that Peter knew we had a proclivity and interest in science and in the planet. So they asked us if we'd be interested, and we were very excited to join those two people and also to take on a subject of the planet, which is something we care about a lot.
And we love National Geographic, so as soon as that brand was mentioned, we got very excited.
And one of the things that I think is really unique about this particular show is the fact that it's not just pretty pictures and fancy images. It's also really attempts to look at it through the lens of these astronauts who have spent a lot of time, months in space. How did you get in contact with them, and why was it important? Why was that the catalyst for this?
We knew we wanted to make a portrait of the Earth and to sort of describe the Earth through all the different sciences. And for a long time, we were searching for who would host the show. A lot of these types of shows have Carl Sagan or Neil deGrasse Tyson or a great personality to lead you along the way. And we just didn't know someone that kind of could capture all of this different material until the idea of astronauts showed up. And that was immediately exciting to me and Ari because they have such a unique perspective. And it doesn't matter if these astronauts have left the Earth for 8 days like May in our show does, or 665 days like Peggy did. A similar thing happens to all of them. They all have this overview effect, this cosmic consciousness. And that new perspective on the planet, seeing themselves as Earthlings as opposed to the individual places of where they're from, was something exciting to try and figure out how to translate that through images and experiences while viewers are watching, to feel what it must feel like to leave the planet.
It gave us, not only did it give us a great authentic voice, which is important in storytelling, authenticity, so that the person who's talking to you really knows what they're talking about and deserves to be talking about it. That just allows you to buy in. So not only did it give us that authentic voice, but it ultimately gave us the concept of the show, which is that we are going to try and show people our world with fresh eyes, and to see it with all these tools, whether it's the beauty of the camera work or it's the novelty and the intricacy of the science, but all those things are going to give people different ways to show people their planet with fresh eyes, which is what these astronauts experience.
And really again, there's so many things about this that I think set it apart, and one of them being it's not just something, you alluded to this earlier, it's not just a talking head. It's not just a narrative voice like a David Attenborough or something, just narrating events. Whereas it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like it was a conscious choice to have not just the astronauts talking directly to camera, but also to have somebody like Will Smith be like our in. How did he come into this project?
There was so much hard science in this show that we knew we needed to make it alive for people. And Will Smith just plays the everyman really well. And so we directed him to sort of present the ideas as if he wasn't an expert, but that he had been turned on to these ideas in the last couple of days and was just communicating to you at a cocktail party, or if you met him somewhere casually, all of this incredible science that we were shown.
And you talk a lot about the science, and again, I think this is one of the things that's, why was it important to you that the science aspect, that again, it's not just pretty pictures, what because this touches on all different aspects of the sciences, you know, the chemistry and the biology and the physics and all that kind of stuff. And why was it important to both of you that the science really be front and center?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I think one of those reasons is that science is the tool by which you can truly, if you want to look at the complexity of our planet and the complexity of the history of life on this planet, the tool to ask those questions and to pry that machine apart and gaze into its innards, that is science. And all those sciences are different ways of asking those questions. So people often will think about science as something that's very dry, but it's a tool to wonder. It's a way to get to beauty and wonder by simply asking questions, which is what science is. So that's one reason, is just that's the right mechanism to get people to understand this world. And the second one is science itself is something to be celebrated. It's something that can be under attack and has been under attack
and is under attack
in our society. And yet it is something that's crucial to our survival. And more than that, can be crucial to our sense of awe and beauty and wonder at the world around us, to appreciation. So to celebrate the science at the same time as we're celebrating the planet, felt like that was something that was a goal and important.
Yeah, it did seem, as I was watching it, that there was this kind of this subtle, maybe at times not so subtle, reference to the fact that, hey, science is a real thing and it's not debatable. Facts don't have a bias. And it seemed to me that when you include the science like that, that this was really, the show in a way seems like it was designed to really kind of look at our planet not from an emotional point of view, but also from a scientific point of view. Would that be accurate?
Accurate, and probably those two things are interrelated. And you know, these astronauts, all of them are technically minded. They're all incredibly curious. They're all incredibly scientifically shaped
and trained.
But some of them are very religious, some of them are not religious. It's the scientific viewpoint is a way of being curious about the world. And so, you know, it was important to bring it to the front.
So logistically, something like this, you know, we as viewers, we see the finished product. We very rarely get a glimpse into the logistics involved. Where do you even start with trying to take us through the process of deciding what each episode is going to be about, then logistically how you go about executing that?
Well, there's two. So just so you know, the logistics of pulling off this incredibly complex production task of 100 weeks of shooting, 145 locations, 6 continents, 6 simultaneous production teams going to some of the hardest places to get to on the planet and shoot things in a way they have been shot. We had these partners in England, Utopia, and the resources from National Geographic to make that happen, and they did a tremendous job. And Darren and I, to be truthful, had to just extend a lot of trust, and that trust was incredibly rewarded because they returned with amazing, amazing footage. As far as figuring out what the episodes were going to be and what we were going to shoot, that was an evolving process, and it had to do with looking at, look, what is the journey we want to take this audience on? What do we want to teach them, and what do we want them to feel along the way? And so we started to figure out what the episodes are going to be, and then slot in what the different sequences that'll make it work.
Not only does each hour have a journey, an emotional journey in them, but the goal was to make the 10 hours have a journey. And that journey is the journey of an astronaut. It starts off with the most basic thing an astronaut has to deal with in space, and one of the things we take most for granted here on planet Earth, which is breathing. It's called gasp. It's about our exchange of oxygen with our atmosphere. And then it moves to moving into outer space and being alone in space, and what other life is in space, And then eventually we ended it with bringing Peggy home in the 10th episode to remind ourselves, what does it mean to be an Earthling? What does it mean to have a home? What is home?
And along the way, we took people through a little bit of, what if this planet doesn't last forever? Could we go somewhere else? We explore those notions and the fears and some of the options that we have. And then when we find out that our planet is something that we can never fully live without and that we can never escape and it can't escape us, then we turn back and we go home and we explore what it means to have left it and what it means to return.
I love that. There was one episode about jellyfish being born in space and how when they returned to Earth, they were not the same jellyfish that were as the jellyfish that are here on Earth.
They don't know how to swim right because they weren't born in gravity, and you need to grow in gravity
to actually
operate in gravity.
So if you're born in space, you're no longer an Earthling. What does it mean to be born on another planet? What type of effects are going to happen that we can't, predict? That was a big, mind-expansive idea.
You can't just get in the Star Trek teleporter and show up on another planet and it's all going to work out. The planet is in you, and
we are the planet.
And contrapuntally, we're in the planet too, because the planet would not be what it is without everything that life has done to shape it.
Yeah.
And so, and as we know, we're shaping it now, but we're not the first species to be shaping our planet.
So like all the sci-fi movies about terraforming, how you turn another planet into something like Earth. Earth itself has been terraformed by us, and that can be witnessed from space.
Everything you see, the color of the sky, everything around us is
because of life. Because of life.
So. And that's one of the really interesting things that kind of struck me about it is the way that I want to talk about some of those outer space shots, those shots looking down on the planet, because most people are not going to ever see that except through a series like that. And I'm told that the astronauts themselves, Darren, did you work with the astronauts in terms of what types of photos and what type of situations you wanted them to capture?
Yeah. We sent a camera up with an astronaut who I got to work with and train, basically trying to rethink how footage is shot in space, because so much of what you see with astronauts, it's got all the fluorescent lights on and they're usually performing for the camera. We wanted to make a documentary. So the first thing was turn off the fluorescence. Let's have the scenes lit by the sun and the reflection of the sun off the Earth. And also what the astronauts are doing. So to do the kind of, I thought it was interesting waking up in space. I thought it was interesting to see someone brush their teeth in space. All the kind of personal things that are usually edited out of the footage we see of our astronauts was what was interesting.
Would either one of you ever conceivably, go up there?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of money, though.
I don't know if I can blow that ping pong ball up high enough on the thing.
God. Yeah, I don't know that I could ever get up there on a teacher's salary. Oh, well.
As a teacher.
Now, I want to ask, because it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, you guys, Darren, you've directed, a number of films. Ari, you have acted as a co-writer and producer. It seems like this theme of the environment and the earth has really come to play, particularly in your last two narrative films like Noah and Mother. Is this a theme that you want to continue to explore in your narrative films?
We'll see. I don't know what I'm doing next, and I don't know what it's going to be about. I think a lot of these ideas emerged out of being witness to what's happening here right now. This reality it's an intense moment for the planet and our place on the planet. And I've just been affected by it. And the results of it have been definitely the last couple of movies as well as this series. You know, I think Noah and Mother were very much cautionary tales, and this is the other end of the spectrum. It's a celebration of the planet, but they're all talking about our home and what it means to be in partnership with Mother Earth.
So when you guys look at, you know, kind of the political discourse, particularly as it applies to, you know, not even just climate change but conservation in general, does that frustration, anger, does that drive your creativity? Do you look to respond to that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I don't think, I don't know how not to. As a parent, I want to make sure that my child has same access to the same resources and the same kind of lifestyle that I've been blessed with. And it feels like things are changing really rapidly, and it's important to sort of understand our place here on the planet and our responsibility to it.
Well, Ari Handel, Darren Aronofsky, thank you so much. It's really just a spectacular series, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.